Sports Limelight special Tecmo Super Bowl edition, Drew.
Hey, all right.
Yet another topic we've unearthed that we can't believe we didn't do an episode on earlier.
Yeah, how many of you guys have ever played Tecmo Super Bowl? I was completely obsessed with it.
Boy, if you grew up in the early 90s, the odds are pretty good, huh?
Definitely my favorite Nintendo game of all time.
As was mine. I can't even think of what was second. It was that great.
Tecmo Bowl, the first one.
Oh, of
I'm
course.
just kidding. Maybe Mario 3 or something.
Yeah, those Marios were pretty solid. Actually, 2 was weird.
It was weird.
Never could get into that one.
Yeah.
Anyway, we are going to each name our favorite player to play as in Tecmo at each major position grouping.
Right on. I'm down with this topic.
All right, you want to start us off with the quarterback position, Drew?
Yeah. My favorite QB was the Rams quarterback, Jim Everett. Check that, Chris Everett.
You know, we're sitting here right now, and if you guys want to take a station break, you can. But if you call me Chris Everett to my face one more time, we better take a station break.
Yeah. Jim Everett, he had a solid throwing speed, actually. He had one of the best ones in the league, so.
Surprisingly, he must have had a really good 1990 for them to base the game on, right?
Yeah.
Because unexpectedly, Jim Everett, really good.
And he had a couple of good wide receivers to throw to, and Henry Ellard and Willie Flipper Anderson.
I'm going to go with QB Eagles.
Oh, who's that?
For mine. I guess that was his name.
Ah.
Yeah, one of those things.
Nice.
With the dual threat of running and passing, he was as fast as a running back, or even faster than an average running back in the game.
Mm-hmm.
But he'd keep you honest as a passer, so you can't just sell out for the QB run there.
Yeah, what a scary guy to defend, huh?
You could run right up to the line of scrimmage and then throw a bomb to
Awesome.
Calvin Williams or Fred Barnett. Running back, I have a kind of a surprising pick here, Thurman Thomas.
Hey, that's a great pick. What are you talking about?
Oh, of course you would approve. I picked him because there's maybe one special running back that will be on your pick that was faster than anybody, in fact. But Thurman Thomas, also super fast, but was great in the receiving game. He would never drop a pass for you. And in Tecmo, running backs in the passing game were pretty meaningful.
Yeah, I agree. Now, my running back is Mr. Bo Jackson, the fastest Tecmo Bowl player of all time.
Oh, man, hard to argue with that.
Yeah.
There are uploads on YouTube of people doing ridiculous runs with Bo Jackson, such as one that takes up the entire quarter.
Yeah, when he's in excellent health, you don't really need to pass to him. Just give him the ball.
No.
You just need to have good hands. Now, to end the backfield here with the fullback position, I'm going to go with Christian Okoye. He was actually a fullback in the game, so.
When he reached 100 hitting power, man, he could just bowl through the defense with also really good speed.
Yeah, exactly. A strategy that one could use was you could put him as kick returner, and if he was in excellent hitting power, you could just steam right through the
Ooh, I never thought to try that. That's awesome. I had a sort of maybe a poor man's Christian Okoye as my fullback, Otis Anderson. He could also reach 100 hitting power. A little slower than Okoye, but they still gave him a lot more speed than they needed to give him. He was very old at that point and was kind of known as a plodding power back.
Mm-hmm.
Fit the Giants well, but yeah, surprisingly they made old Otis Anderson pretty fast.
As they should. He was Super Bowl MVP that year.
Oh, that's true. Wide receiver, Drew, do you have any surprise, or are you going with the obvious choice?
I'm going with Drew Hill.
Hey, all right.
Probably
Good
the
name.
second, yeah, exactly. The second best wide receiver on the game. And with Warren Moon to throw to, he's a for sure thing. He had great hands too.
Yep, my pick, Jerry Rice. I didn't overthink this one too much. It was maddening to play against him, and you'd have him covered or double covered, and Joe Montana would throw it really high in the air. You'd figure on purpose because Montana was so accurate, and Rice would just leap up and grab it.
Right.
And your guy would just like dive on the ground in front of him and
Exactly, yeah.
run for an easy touchdown.
You would even pick a guy who wasn't guarding him and go over towards him with the other guy, and he would still make the catch.
Oh, man. My tight end, I have Mark Bavaro. Couldn't think of a really dominant tight end above any others, so I just went with my favorite.
Nice. I went with another 49er, Brett Jones. He was very underrated because overshadowed with the John Taylor and Jerry Rice, but he had some pretty solid hands too.
Yeah. They should have made some tight ends have at or near 100 hitting power. I always wondered, a lot of tight ends were known as being very hard to tackle.
Right.
I think Mark Bavaro certainly would have qualified for that.
Exactly. Now, moving on to defense, I'm going to start with the defensive tackle position. How about that?
Okay.
All right. My favorite player in the defense, Bob Nelson. How many of you guys know who that is? Really?
This might be the only unanimous choice. I, too, went with Bob Nelson because you could just take him and dive into the middle and get the easy quarterback sack.
Yeah.
Basically cheating.
When he was on 100% on either hitting power or speed, he was really fast in the game. So you could, when the ball was hiked, you could actually go past the center before he even went back all the way.
Bob Nelson must have known someone who made that game. That's how inexplicably good they made him. Just a nondescript defensive tackle on a nondescript Green Bay Packers team in that year. Defensive end, I went with Bruce Smith.
Ooh, good pick. Probably the best in the game.
Yeah, fast, dominant. When you were playing against him, he could just throw your left tackle aside and get in at you right away as quarterback.
Yeah.
And you'd have to elude him.
He was like the Bob Nelson of defensive ends. My choice was Freddie Joe Nunn.
Hey, all right.
For the Phoenix Cardinals. I just like saying that, Freddie Joe Nunn. When his name came up when you sacked somebody.
One of the many 3 named superstars on Tecmo Super Bowl. You had Ivy Joe Hunter, of course, running back on the Colts.
Hartley Dykes. I actually made a shirt that said I, and then the word Hart Lee Dykes, or actually with the picture of a heart. I Heart Lee Dykes.
That is fantastic.
And I sent it to Bill Simmons because he's a Boston guy.
Oh, nice. He would appreciate that.
Yeah, he never wrote me back.
Oh.
So who do you have for linebacker there, sir?
I have Lawrence Taylor. Not a big surprise there. There's one that was close to him. Maybe you'll pick him. But he was just blazingly fast at the outside linebacker position, and he was also in an advantageous spot where you could block kicks.
Yes, that top linebacker position.
That's right. 4th one down in the kick formations.
Yeah.
Just run right in between the long snapper and one of the guard next to him.
Now, he probably would have been just as dominant at the bottom, but not nearly as fun.
Yeah.
Blocking kicks and stuff.
Or, as I know it, the Carl Banks spot. That's a pretty good spot, too.
Carlton Banks. Well, I have a favorite from my favorite team, C. Bennett.
Oh.
Or his full name, Cornelius Bennett.
He was only known as C. Bennett on the game?
Yeah, because his name was too long for the screen.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Never knew that.
So, just like W. Slaughter for the Browns, Webster Slaughter. Yeah. C. Bennett, the bottom linebacker, outside linebacker. I'd like to sneak up on him, or sneak up on the quarterback when the defense or the offensive line spread out. You can kind of cut through the tackle and guard there.
Yeah, that was a good.
And he was quick.
Yep.
So, who was your second choice you mentioned that I thought?
I thought you might go with Derek Thomas.
Oh yeah. Oh wow, that's another one. The top linebacker for the Chiefs. Yeah.
Defensive back, Drew. You want to start off?
Defensive back. David Fulcher.
Hey, all right.
for the Bengals, right?
Dominant, hard-hitting safety.
Yeah, and fast too.
Yeah, he had good hands as well. He'd catch a lot more interceptions, it seemed, than your average defensive back on the game, where it would just bounce off them.
Right.
And you'd
also,
say, come on, intercept that. I
and
was
also,
standing
if you
right
were
there.
doing simulations, he always seemed to lead the league in interceptions.
I had Rod Woodson.
Nice.
One of the fastest defensive backs. Almost went with Darrell Green here for the same reason.
Yeah.
But he'd be all over the place for you. If you didn't want to be anyone else on that defense, Woodson was a good guy to be because you're not as limited. Like if there's a certain running play where your top linebacker is susceptible or your bottom linebacker, but the defensive backs, you rarely have that problem. So you could kind of just he's always a go-to guy.
Yeah, I always like those fast DBs because their wide receiver is farther away from them than you say like a top linebacker where they can get kind of hit there, double teamed.
Right.
So
Deion Sanders, another good one.
Now, do you have any special teams players that you?
I kind of mailed it in on this one. Just went with Dave Meggett. When in doubt, I take a giant.
Ah, well, hey, he was the kick returner and punt returner for that team. So.
Yeah, better than average on the returns, it seemed. Your speed as an offensive player didn't always match your speed as a special teamer on Tecmo for whatever reason, but Meggett was pretty solid.
I chose Vaya Sakahima for the Cardinals. Another fun name to say. He never scored any touchdowns, a little slow, but I always rooted for him.
If only they would have a feature where he would do the boxing on the goalpost if he scored a touchdown in Tecmo Super Bowl, instead of the standard jumping high five or running with your finger in the air.
Yeah, or spiking the ball.
Yeah, if it was a rushing touchdown, they just
the
spike
ball.
it
Yeah.
and do the jumping high five. If it was a receiving touchdown, they spike it, run, and put their finger in the air.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
And then the quarterback would do some sort of jump with 2 hands in the air and
and a fist pump. Yeah.
Or somebody would jump up and catch him or hold him in the air and you go.
Oh yeah, that was part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was always great to see Tony Eason do the quarterback celebration.
Yeah.
Good emotion, Tony Eason.
Yeah, or Warren Moon.
Tell the moon.
But not the Marcher. Well, for those of you who still play it, Bill and I dabble in it here and there with our playoff bracket.
It is great to get together and just play some Tecmo. Yeah, we had a thing where we simulated a season, let the computer do everything, and you get your 12 playoff teams. And then we had a draft of which we each draft 6 teams to play as, then just, play whenever our teams matched up. And that was a pretty fun tournament. I think you won that one.
All right, well, we got to play it again.
Yes, I will look for revenge. Sports Limelight Special Tecmo Edition. Thank you for listening. We'll talk to you next time.